Okay. I am recording and admitting another person in. Okay, so we are now recording. So I just mentioned this to everyone here, but I'm going to say it again for those that are not here and that I'm recording for. So I'm going to review some of the deadlines. Start off with that. I'm going to talk about a little bit on some chapter five overview, show where you can find some items for that as well, since we've talked about that before. Talk some about the video presentation defense, some must-dos for that. I'm going to share an image of a completed project as well, just to kind of help you with a guideline and a visual of what you're going to have to, what you're going to have to put it all together once you're finished with your chapter one through five, and talk about some must-dos that are going to be required from the graduate program. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, I'll do what I did before, just take questions in between for if there's any clarification. And if there's specific things that are just, are going to just be individual, maybe let's just hold off until the end to talk about those. So that way, if other people feel like I've got enough, I don't need to be here anymore, then we'll go from there. And as you can probably see, I'm in a different room. I've been kicked out of my normal spot for the day. So, um, you may or may not have seen, because I know you've been working all day. I sent out um, an update with some absolute deadlines that the graduate program and I came together and talked about that needed to be done. So since we're down to 4 weeks before you have to have everything into the graduate office, I want to discuss that a little bit. For those of you who have gotten your chapter four in, this first one is absolutely irrelevant to you. But for the initial draft and getting that um, chapter four into me. If it hasn't been in, if it's not into me yet, it's going to have to be in at the absolute latest by next Wednesday, May the 21st, or it is then out of my control. And you'll have to talk with Dr. Zobel about what you can do to finish up in the fall. Um, so with that, I want to talk about some deadlines here. The preferred deadline for chapter five is still May 18th. That puts you in better shape. Um, Same thing though for absolute deadline with May with chapter five is I have to have it by May 21st at the absolute latest, or I have to let Dr. Zobel know that he's going to be working with you on how to continue the program in the fall. And the reason I say the fall is because in the summer people are gone, and to be able to work on their committee members just mostly are not around to work on the projects. Um, May 23rd is I guess I'm calling it the preferred soft, quote unquote, soft deadline for the video presentation defense. The absolute deadline is May 26th on my part. Now, having said that, if your committee members say, no, 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 I need that by May 23rd because I've got this many things going on, I won't be able to give you feedback in time, then stick with that May 23rd. I'd prefer you stick with that May 23rd just to make it easier on yourself. Um, June the 1st is when you should have your cleaned up chapters one through five, formatted in proper grad format, with all the edits, the title page, table of contents. If you have figures, a tables slash figures page. I'm gonna admit somebody back here. Um, Reference page, the appendices, if you have an appendices, fonts all set up, and I'm going to be going over details with that and show you examples of that. That will be due on June 1st. So again, those are the absolute deadlines. The reason for these absolute deadlines where I can no longer, well, I'll no longer be able to say, okay, yeah, you can have a few more days. That's not going to be a problem. Is because with the absolute deadlines, which are a little bit further than in most cases for chapter four and chapter five, and the video presentation defense than I gave you initially. I mean, those are still the preferred deadlines. But the reason for the absolute deadlines is Without that, committee members are just not going to have enough time to give you feedback and then for you to turn around and do any edits that they are still requiring. That's why I have to give these deadlines. My suggestion is, and I know we're all busy right now, if you can keep the original deadlines, the preferred deadlines, and not put it off a few extra days, um, it'll just give you more time and your committee members more time. Well, when you get the feedback from your committee members, it'll just give you more time to not sweat it out that you're going to get everything in there in time. But that's why we're at the point where there are some absolute deadlines that I have to give you. Any questions on that? And those are all in the email that I sent out there to you today. I'm just at this point required, if you don't make any of those absolute deadlines, I have to give your name to Dr. Zobel, and then you guys can discuss. Doesn't mean you can't graduate. You just wouldn't be able to graduate until December, basically, if that happens. But it's not going to happen. Everybody's gonna get this completed. So, and I'm actually confident that you will get it completed. I just have to give those absolute deadlines. Okay, so. Um, if you turned in your chapter 4 on time, as in due on May 12th, if you turn that in on time and you don't have feedback from me already, you will have feedback at the absolute latest by Friday if you turn it into me on time. Um, if you turn it into me not on time, but you've already turned it into me since, you'll have it by the weekend because you'll be up right after I finish up the last one and turn it in on time. So if don't worry about that. If you haven't given your chapter 4 to the other committee members yet, do it now. Go ahead and give it to them now. And I would suggest it's up to you, but when you turn in your chapter 5, if you feel like going ahead and turning it into your committee members at that time too, go ahead and do that as well when you do that, when it's time for that. What was I going to say with that? So chapter 5 is really just a reflection piece for you. I put 10-ish pages on the suggestion, but I mean, if you've got 7 to 8 pages and you feel like I don't really know what else to say, or turn it into me, and that might be fine. But because everybody writes differently and all the projects are different, even though I put 10-ish pages, your reflection paper might of chapter 5 may be a 7 page um, chapter 5, and that may be fine because that may be all that you needed. That may be all that was required of yours with everything that was in there. I've given um, in slides in module 3. And in chapter in module 5, I gave some example topics that you could use for headings. Some of those I put as kind of a question to in there. Don't put your heading as a question with a question mark. Just change it to, like, could be introduction, the limitations of the study, and talk. You could talk about how you grew through this. What you're going to be doing with this in the future. But I gave some sample headings, but it's really a reflection piece at that point. You could that you've been going through over this really over the couple terms, over the whole program, and setting this up. That's what chapter 5 is essentially. And it's going to look different for everyone because you're all in different places, you're all doing different topics. Um, so yeah, it's gonna look different upon that. So all those headings, topics that I put in there are suggestions in there. Are there questions on chapter 5? Okay. What I'm going to do next, and I have no idea where I have things on my screen, so hopefully I'll get there. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I'm on the Canvas page. What I want to show you is a sample of what your project is going to look like when everything's done. So after you're finished with your chapters 1 through 5, you're going to start putting this together. Follow this format. Um, Whatever your title is, and your title should be what you put on that pre-approval form that you sent into the grad office. The title that you had for that, put that here. How you had your name, put that here. But make it look like this, except for obviously you're putting June of 2025. Um, I'll be honest, the second page, I'm gonna have to get with Amber Dietz and double check with her to see if this is something that she puts in or if if that's just something you got a format you got to put together. I'll get back to you on that second page right there. Then you're going to have your table of contents, and you can see how it's set up here. Make sure all chapters start on a new on at the top of a new page, and your resources start at the top of a new page after chapter 5. If oh, so there's two ways. Acknowledgements are not required, but if you have family members, spouses out there who have been um, having to sacrifice because you're essentially doing two jobs at the minimum, you might want to at least acknowledge them. That's always a nice thing to do. If you look at different papers on here, like some acknowledgments actually go before the table of contents. I would have actually recommended them putting before the table of contents, but it doesn't matter, I guess. So you'll have that, the acknowledgments up there. You'll put with that where that goes. Um, the abstract, which I would make 100 words or less, and I will make sure that that is specifically noted for you. Making a note to myself. Make the abstract 100 words or less. What this is about and what you did in here, just basically a summary. Then you're going to be going to your chapter 1. Now, there used to be a specific way when I was doing final projects with students a few years ago, the way they wanted chapter 1 and the title of chapter 1 to be, and it wasn't all on one line together. The way the grad office used to do it is they wanted chapter 1 and then they wanted the title like a couple of spaces under it. But obviously this one's not and it got through. So it looks like now the way they did it in my conversations with Amber Dietz is that's fine. Just make sure it is consistent. If you're doing it like this and you're putting your title, chapter 1, and the title in bold, then every single chapter needs to be the exact same way. If you're putting chapter 1 up here, like and doing it in Roman numerals, make every chapter a Roman numeral. If you're putting chapter 1 up here and then introduction to topic or introduction, however you're titling that first chapter, a couple of down, one, it should be centered like this. Then make sure it is done the exact same way for every single chapter. They need to be consistent. The other thing I want to mention, this person didn't do that, but it is something that they're going to want if they catch it. They especially some of your committee members also may want. You have your table of contents. I highly recommend after the table of contents, have another page that says figures and tables, and then put what pages each of the figures and tables are on. So with that, um, so your resources, and if any of you have an appendices as well, you will put you'll have like I'd put appendices at the beginning of a page after the resources are done. So go after resources, what page it begins on. And then if you have appendices and if you have like appendices, Appendix A, Appendix B, etc., each one that you have will go on a new page. So that's what that should essentially look like. And you'll need to have all of these, and your title page is going to have to look like this. Um, the other thing that you need to make sure is put it all in Times New Roman font, and everything needs to be double spaced. I'm going to stop sharing. The only thing that is not double spaced is, let's say, one of the chapters ends halfway through the last page of that chapter. You're not going to double space and say chapter one ends halfway through page 10. You're not going to start chapter two double spaced from there. You're going to start that at the beginning of the page. So every chapter starts at the beginning of the page, but everything else should be double spaced. What I'm seeing a lot is that people will double space throughout, and then for a header, all of a sudden there's an extra space or two in there. No, everything needs to be double spaced just for consistency throughout. Make sure that is double spaced. If you want to single space your references, that's fine. And like double space in between each reference, that's fine to make it look better. But the text of it needs to be double spaced throughout. So make sure you're doing that when you're doing your final go through with it. That's the way it needs to be done. Questions on that?
How do we know if we need appendices? I don't
That
know if
was my
that's a
question.
question or not, but I was like, how do I know if I need those?
I'll tell you, or your committee members have recommended it, and then you'll need to do it. I think I've already. Nope. Have I looked at yours, Faith?
Yeah, you just sent me an email
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
I did. You'll know when I get your edits. You'll know.
Okay. So if I
But
don't know
yeah,
anything
if
about
I
it,
don't tell you to bother with an appendices, don't worry about it.
lovely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's the answer for that. Same with it. I mean, now. I will say if there is a huge difference in when it comes to like whether it's going to be in appendices or not, then between like your committee, like other committee members and me, just send me an email. I might just defer to them as well, or if I or talk to them. But if usually those things won't be a huge discrepancy. But yeah, so if we don't say it, don't worry about it. Other questions on that portion of what I'm saying about the formatting for it? Because those things, I will say, if just have it in Times New Roman because that's the one. Sometimes they let it slide through with what is it, Arial or however you say it, but anything else, it's not going to go through. So just two Times New Roman, and do. Oh, I should have said everything. Do everything 12 Times New Roman, Times New Roman 12. Everything. Even your chapter headers, every header, do it 12. Um, the only exception to that rule would be if on your on your figures and tables. I mean, I would if you're typing it in, I would just say type it in as 12, but sometimes that's out of your control because sometimes you're given screenshots on those, so those don't necessarily have to be. Um, Make sure that you have worked with the Writing Center on grammar and APA because those could be the ones that um, when you're doing that last one through by the June 1st, when all edits have to be in by then, that's the one that gets people in the end is because they didn't go through and fix those things. What I see happening a lot is tables and figures not being done properly in APA. So work on that as well. Trying to think of some other big things. Oh, the June 1st, I haven't put a folder up for that just to not confuse on people, since some people are still turning in chapter four and chapter five's coming up. I haven't put that folder up yet. So if you're ready to turn that in, before I put it up there, which basically I'll be putting that one up right after May 23rd when I have the preferred deadline for chapter 5 is when I'll put that up to put that in. Um, then you just let me. Oh, I didn't finish my thought. Then just send me an email, and I'll make sure, and we'll work that out. I'll probably at that point I will just probably put the folder up so you can put it in. All right. Questions on the must. Oh, where? No, no, I'm not going to take questions yet. There's one more must do for the grad program. No, actually, I'm going to save that for later for something else. I'm going to share with you first. So, are there any other questions on what I've said for formatting and making sure that's set up?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for mine, I'm doing a professional development training that I did in Google Slides and Slido.
Hmm.
Um, I'm hoping that the expectation isn't for everything to be in Times New Roman 12-point font for a presentation like that.
No, I'm sorry. Good. That's a great question. No,
Okay,
not for slides and they just literally on like the body of the text, the body of what you're writing.
okay,
Yeah, great question because I didn't address that. So yeah,
okay.
don't
Thank
worry about your slides.
you.
You can make your slides whatever font you want to.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Other questions on that?
There's a link somewhere to like schedule an appointment with the writing center, right?
Yeah.
Like there's posted.
Oh, it's a great question. You know what? If I didn't put that in on our Canvas page, I will do that tonight. It'll be up there.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And well, the fastest way I get to it is I jump on the portal and across the top, there's the email, there's, Canvas, all that stuff. There's one that's for the writing center. And when I pop that up, it will tell me what appointments I might have. And then it says make appointment. So that's one way to get to it.
Oh, you know what? Who asked that? Abigail? So who asked that? Or was that Faith? Oh, okay. Um, yeah. Let me backtrack on what I just said. I'll have that up there unless that's the only way you can make an appointment is on your portal page, and then
What
I'll
you
just put that
can
information out.
What you can also do is you can email the writing center. I'm one of the graduate assistants,
Oh,
and
there we
so
go. Yep. Yeah.
I've met some of my peers through that way. So if you're ever needing a writing center appointment and you can't get through the portal, can't find the website, just email writingcenter@mail.wu.edu. Or you can find it online and just Google Wu Writing Center and just send an email and they'll direct you or the other to me or the other graduate assistant, Eileen, and we're happy to help. So just email if that's the easiest.
Faith, I'll still try to put something up there for you at the very least, like the email and everything. So.
Thank you. All of the answers were helpful.
Other questions before what I'm going to talk about next is the final presentation. Okay. I think I want to share my screen for this. Yeah, because then I'll remember what exactly I was going to say. Okay, let me go over here. All right, so I have information in Module 6. Oh, one of them I have not opened up for you yet, so let me do that. All right, I just added a couple things here today. So your final oral presentations, this gives you the directions I talked about with you on the last Zoom meeting. I'll just show it here again. It gives you the steps on what it look like. And if your slides don't exactly look like this, like if you add a few slides, but this is an example of how to make it look. But if you have more than 10 slides, or if you have 8 slides, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so that gives you that. And Dr. Schultz, who is on sabbatical this term and has been doing this course, was nice enough to send me a couple of example defenses. So I put those up here as well that you can look at. I noticed that one of them went well over the amount of time, the approximate 10 minutes that we suggested for you. So um, don't feel like you have to go that long. Then also, this is something, there's a couple of forms that you are going to, oh, actually, I'll jump down to this one first. I feel like I should move this one up here first. Oh, no, I don't want to share that one yet. Okay. This first one that I'm going to show you. Oh, this was sent at the very beginning of the year, I believe. This is what your for the overall professional project. This is not just the video. This is the rubric that your committee members are going to be using. And I just want to show this to you again quickly, as you can look through it as well as you're kind of putting final touches on your professional project. Basically, you can score up to 32 points on here. You got to hit 23 or above to pass from your committee members. I'm going to come back on why I'm saying on to why I'm saying that. For your this presentation feedback form, this is going to be something that your committee members, when they're reviewing your video, that they're going to just basically did the introduction provide that they're going to look at for the presentation defense. Did the introduction provide enough background to understand the merit of the project? Yes, satisfactory or no. Yes, satisfactory or no. Give notes. If they're giving no's, then that's where you're gonna maybe to that section have to go back and clean that particular section up. But you just gotta if you get satisfactory or yes, you're good. Um, then what you are going to do is you are going and don't do this yet. Um, you can send this to them as your committee this to them as early as Monday if you want. But you're going to send the presentation procedures, this message from me to your committee members. Yeah, I'm not going to read all that. I'll just letting them know presentation will be asynchronous and virtual process. I'm going to make a Google Doc folder for each of you. And my plan is to have that done by the end of this weekend. And then you will put, well, I'll just read it. I'll just read it for you. Created for each student, shared with committee members. Students will place their defense or final project presentations within a Google Doc folder, preferably by May 23rd, but no later than May 26th. The student final paper with completed edits and formatted in the manner requested by the graduate office should be included in the same Google folder no later than June 1st. So, actually, when I just said that I'll make another folder for June 1st, this is the folder. I won't, yeah, anyway. Um, then I'm telling the committee members to assess and provide any necessary feedback for both of these documents by June 4th. Um, Now, because I'm saying June 4th, that's not going to give them a lot of days if you wait till June 1st to put your final edited paper up there. So you may have some committee members who ask you to give that to you before June 1st. I'm asking by then, if your other committee members want it before then, go with what your committee members say. But the reason why I'm saying is by June 4th is that you have enough time to revise um, any more revisions that any of us on the committee members ask of you. And really by that point, um, I'm going to assume if there are any edits and revisions to make, they're going to be minor, so you shouldn't need more than a couple days to make any revisions at that point. And as you can see, you may comment directly on the paper, ask clarifying questions. I have placed rater forms scoring. This will be something else that will be in there when I give you your folder. Um, by Sunday night, you'll have rater forms, scoring guides for both the presentations and the written product in the folders, and those are the rubrics that I just showed you. And you'll be sharing that folder with your committee members. I will give you edit access to your personal folder. You'll be getting it from on your Woo email, because that's what I have for the course. So that's what you'll have edit access in, and then you can kind of read on there. But the forms where they're assessing you they will not be placing those back up there. They will be emailing those to me. And then you can kind of read up there and then just give the information. So those are the final presentation procedures. That should go out to, I'm going to say send that out on Monday if you can, assuming I have your folder to you on by Sunday night that I've shared it with you. If I haven't shared it with you by Sunday night, then that's on me, and you obviously can't share it with them yet. But this where it says MSED final presentation procedures, that's essentially I would just copy and paste it coming from me and give that particular one to your committee members. I think I'll also put it in a file just in case they want to read it for just as a reminder for them in your folder as well. But then these two rubrics are the ones that will be in there for the presenters to look at as well, along with your video presentation preferably by May 23rd, but by May 26th at the absolute deadline. And then your edited version of your paper that has everything in there, title page, everything will also be in there by that folder by June 1st. Okay, that was a lot I just said. So feel free to ask questions on that. Oh, wait, if there are any questions before I say that, I will also, when I send out my announcement to you on next Monday morning, I will also hopefully articulate all of that again on Monday what to do. But I won't have the visual there for you that I just had in this. So, any questions? Okay. With that, there is one more thing that I have to share with you. Um, so, okay, second to last thing that you'll be doing, and this is going to happen that's not it. Once you, once you are done with, they've approved your video defense, you have done any final edits for them, they've looked at your final paper and everything looks great, they're happy with it. Um, and as committee chair, I'll be letting you know whether you did the way the grad office wants it, or not correctly. And that this is where ideally all committee members have signed off on it. They're good to go by June the 6th. It's good to go by June the 6th. Then what you will be doing is at that point, and I want to make sure I'm going to specifically read off Amber Dietz' email to make sure I got this right. Um, okay. What happens at that point? You will again put mark off professional project here. You'll put the title here. Make sure it is the same that you put on your pre-approval form. If you don't remember, go back and look. Um, then put your name as put on pre-approval form. And then put your degree, MS Ed. Okay. for the committee chairs, just type committee members, type in their names right here. You do not have to get signatures. I'll repeat, you do not have to get anybody's signature because what I am going to be doing is once I have gotten that from you, once you'll send that, you'll fill that out and you'll send that to me. Technically, you could even do this. You could do this tonight and send it to. Well, you can't because I haven't given you this form yet. Once I put this on, probably again, probably next week. Once I put this on the Canvas page, you could technically do it that day and then send it to me. Um, without their signatures, then what I will do once I have all the committee members have emailed me their scores, that they're good with it, I'm going to send an email to Amber Dietz in the grad office that says specifically, the committee has reviewed and approved the professional project, whatever the title is of yours, created by your name, in partial fulfillment of the exit requirements of the MS Ed program. And then I will put sincerely, and I'll put every committee member's name on there. So I'll be typing that up. I'll attach the form. I'll CC you in it. Then what will happen is, I probably got to go back and read what Amber Dietz said to me. Once I get the email that I just said to you, that I'll be sending, and a copy of their title page without the signatures, the one I was just this one I'm talking about that I will attach with that, I will send you as in not me, um, directions on how to upload your final project, and you need to upload that final project by 5 p.m. on June the 11th, which means I need to have ideally, I say June the 6th that I get approval from everybody because I've got a lot of you to go through and I've got to make sure everything's lined up. I got to make sure the title I'm putting in the emails are right. I got to make sure all the names are lined up. I'm gonna stop sharing. Um, so I need a few days to be able to get it to Amber Dietz in the grad office so she can have time to have to email you on the directions of how to upload it by 5 p.m. on June the 11th because um, neither Dr. Zobel nor I can do anything to help you if it's not uploaded by that time because that is the grad office. So the good news is you don't have to get signatures from your committee members. You will need to, well, hopefully you won't need to. You'll just need to remind them when they need to get it to me by. Um, I'm saying the 6th. That way, also, if we have to chase any committee members down, like if I have to go back to you and I'm just gonna say Faith, you because you're the one who's right up there on the screen. If I have to go, Faith, so and so, the committee member, one of your committee members has not emailed me yet, then you can track them down. You can say, I gotta have this done because I gotta get this in, and I will. And so, because I need at least a couple days with all of you to be able to go through everything and get it in. That's why I'm saying the 6th. And then Amber needs enough. She's not only doing MS Ed students in the grad office, she's doing MAT, and that's just in the College of Ed, and then any grad students in liberal arts and sciences. So she needs time to be able to send that email to you as well. So that's everything that you need to do. And again, I just unloaded a lot of information to you. I will write it up and articulate the best I can written, but I think trying to verbally tell it to you is the best way. And of course, you can always email me or we can set up meetings if that just was overwhelming and you're not quite sure what to do, or you've reached that point of I'm down to I just need to do this title page. I need to make sure that this is all correct. We can always meet about that. All right, any questions?
I know I have one, but it's more specific to my
Okay.
project. Wait for
Okay.
the
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say one last thing because I want to make sure this date for everybody is known. Um, in regard, actually, I'll say two different days. So I'm assuming Dr. Zobel has let you know, but I'm just realizing, well, maybe he hasn't. June 13th is the graduation hooding ceremony. So hope to see as many of you there as possible that if you can that can make it. That's a more intimate ceremony, and I think that's the funner one. I mean, obviously the next day is fun too, but um, I think that's the more fun ceremony for grad students because it's just all of you on that evening. Okay, so that's the grad one. There is a date though that I am not going to be available because speaking of graduations, and I've asked to have everything in on June the 6th, I am not going to be available on June the 5th to give you any feedback. There's gonna be like a 24-hour dark period for me, where I say dark period is I'm not gonna be able to back to anybody because my daughter is graduating from high school that day. So I'm gonna be running around all over the place, picking people at airports. Yeah, bittersweet. But so I just likely won't be answering emails that day. Um, Although she'll be off at a grad, well, maybe I will after 10 p.m. because she'll be off at a grad party at then, or I might just be exhausted at that point. But just so you know, so that's on your radar, I'll be mentioning that again in announcements. So if there's like a last second question you have and you just emailed me on June 4th, just know you're probably not getting a response to me from June 6th, and that's why. With that, I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll start taking any individual questions at that. Although before stopping the recording, again, I'll just want to say if there are any questions that come up, send me an email. If we need to set up either a Zoom meeting or those of you on campus, I've only got 1 hour on campus just because so many of my classes are for my office hours just because and which is on Tuesday from 1 to 2, which is because because I have so many classes online this term that I've set it up that I have 4 office hours online on Wednesdays. But if that doesn't work for you, we can try to make up another time, especially now that we're headed down to the wire. We'll make sure we get something set up if you need to talk. So don't hesitate to reach out. With that, I'm going to stop recording.